This demonstration video will walk through the basic functions of the University of Minnesota Veterinary Diagnostic Laboratory Results Access website. Your landing page on the login has areas where you can enter your credentials, username and password for the credentials you'll be using for your session. There is a Remember Me button. Check this only if you're using a private secured device. Don't use this on a public or unsecured device. If you need help with password or username, use the link provided there. The cases I'll be showing today are using an anonymized dummy cases to demonstrate the usability. The initial page that you land on will be the case list that your login has access to. The cases will be ordered by descending a session or case number. On the bottom of the page, you will have, I should point out here that this is using the desktop website as your base. I will explain some of the mobile site features at the end of this video. So interacting with your cases here at the bottom of the landing page, there are case numbers displayed, so you can sort either by clicking directly on the page number, or you can use the forward and back arrows, or move to the end of your case list or to the beginning of your case list, depending on where you're at. At the top of the web page, there is some information here. So there's a link to some help resources, and then it also shows you who's currently logged in. So in this case, we're mystery. If you click on the username here, it'll open a drop-down to allow you to access additional information. So you can click Logout here, and that will clear your credentials if you don't want to leave those in, and you had clicked Remember Me. And then there's an options for settings. So if you click on the settings, this will allow you to select or deselect fields, which will show in your summary list. So depending on what you like to see or don't like to see on your case list, you can select those. There's also a portion here called floating list fields. I'll demonstrate that in a bit. This refers to a pop-up box that will show when you navigate beyond the header row of a case. And so you can, again, select or deselect the information you want to see in that floating field. So in order to save these credentials, these preferences for future use, you just click the back button, and once you do that, it'll save it until you log back in and change it for another session. So also here on your landing page in the header is a search bar. So this can be keyword searched. So if you wanted to look for, let's say you wanted to look for an F18 E. coli test, it'll pull up cases that have whatever it is that you're looking for. If you are done and no longer want to see those search results, you can hit the X, or you can delete what you had in the search bar and hit the little icon for searching there. If you want to go beyond keyword searching or kind of basic searching, there is an advanced search tab. So click the down arrow button next to the spyglass, and that will populate your options for your advanced search. So some of these may not apply to you depending on what type of cases you're submitting. So maybe flow or production manager are not going to mean anything for your login, but you can select based on what you might want to search under. So the searches are auto-populating or smart populating. So if you start typing, it will pull up the options under that with those characters that you started. So if I put in BO, it's not body odor, it'll only pull up bovine. There are some fields such as the result down here that have a dependent field. So for result, you won't be able to choose anything until you put in a procedure. So maybe I'm interested in PERS PCR. I need to populate that before I can come over and select the options for results. Maybe I only want to see positive PERS results, and then I can click search it will query my case list and it will pull up all cases that have PERS positive results. Also on the advanced search option, there is a free text field that you can look for in the comments. If you have a particular search that you want to pull up every time you log in, you can click the set as default once you've populated the fields that you want, and that will pull that search up every time you log in under that. If you are done, you can click clear and it will clear all of your options there. And then you can click outside of the box to close that. Once you have a case list that you want, whether it's your base list or if it's something that you populated by search, if you're on the desktop view, you can sort. So at the head of each column, there are clickable column names. So one that somebody might be interested in is they want to see the cases that have changed since they last interacted. So as you look at all of your cases, there's information that's in the face, typeface, as well as some of the other features. So cases that are new or have changed since you last logged in will have a yellow star next to the accession number, and those cases will also be bolded. If you have no changes in the case since you last interacted with it, the typeface will be normal and you will not have a star next to it. And as I said, maybe you wanted to sort your cases by change date. You can simply click on the case on the column name and it will sort by a default. So in this case, it's sorting ascending. So you see the cases that were changed furthest back in history first. If you want to see what was changed most recently, you click it once more. The arrow will then show you the direction in which it's sorting. In this case, it's descending. So I can see the cases that have changes most recently. And then if you want to see it back in the default state, you can click it a third time and it will revert to whatever the default had been prior to you starting to sort. So we'll move on now to case interactions. So you can interact with the case either by clicking on the case title bar here. And what that will do, it will open a summary of the case. So if there's multiple animals, you'll see counts and what the results might be. And so there are also additional ways to interact with the case. As you hover over the case header bar, there will be icons that populate to the right. So there's details, reports, request additional tests. There's options for download or to see what the billing information might be. If you're going to interact with the case by the case bar and to see the summary field, when you click on it, it will open an accordion to show you the summary information for that case. And if you want to close that again, you can either click on the case header, or if you have several of them open, you can click the collapse all and it will return it back to the summary state. So as we look through, we'll look at an example here. So as I had mentioned, if you click the case header row, it'll open your case summary up. If you scroll beyond the point at which you can see the demographic information, that is when the floating field will come up. And so we can see the case number and whatever fields you selected as showing up on your floating fields, just so that way you have a frame of reference for whatever information you might be looking at on a case that's longer. Also on the summary page, if you see a result that has an underline on it, you can get a pop-out box to show you those results. So examples would be antimicrobial susceptibility results. Will show you an MIC and an interpretation on the summary screen. Also, if you see a tab that says 1 or 2, you can click on the additional tab and see what the other diagnostics are that might be associated with the pop-out box. E. coli is a good example where you might have virulence gene PCRs that would show up. So this gives you some of the information right here on the summary screen. And in order to close those, you just move your cursor off of the box. Now, let's say we're going to interact rather than seeing just summary statistics or counts. We want to see other information that's associated with the case. So this would involve accessing another page on the case, and that's where these icons to the side would come in. So if you wanted to see individual animal details, you can click on the details, and this will bring up results based on the individual animal and give you the full kind of view that you might expect to see for the whole case. This will give you PCR results, serology results, and things of that nature. If you need more information or you want to see the pathologist report, if the case provides that, down in the right-hand corner of your screen, there's a dot or a button with 3 lines, and this is where the additional icons will now reside. So let's say you wanted to look at the reports, you can click on the reports button. And what that will do is, by default, will populate your diagnostic detail report for the case, and this will include the typed up pathologist report, as well as if there's any attachments, those will show up down below the typical PCR result table, or if you have sequencing requested, that will show up here on the report as well. In the reports, there are several options. So the diagnostic detail report is the default. If your case has a submission form, you can click on the submission form to access the scanned document that you sent in. And so here we would have a PDF. There are also some specialty reports. So if you wanted to see the susceptibility for multiple isolates all in one place, we do provide that, so you can get a slightly different format here. If for some reason you're not seeing the different report options, you can click on the what looks like a bar graph in the upper left. This is the same on desktop or on your mobile device. You can click this. It shows you the report options under reporting. So let's say you're done looking at your report. You might be interested in returning to another page on the case, and so that would be, click down here on the hashes, you can see the options. We've looked at the details, we've looked at the report. Maybe you have, you know, let's go look at the detailed report here. You would like to request some additional testing on something that you noticed here in your results. You can click the plus tab, which is the request additional testing. This will open up a interactive field, and here you can, this is a free text box. So you need to make sure that when you're entering this here, this should be as detailed as you can get it. So maybe you wanted to add aerobic culture on the intestine. So you can just type in here and because in some cases like this, there might be more than one animal, you would want to be as specific as possible. Please add aerobic culture on the intestine of number 2. Then when you click submit here, I'll show you that in a little bit. It'll send an email to the case coordinator, which will show the case number and who was interacting with the case. So if you're logged in as the clinic, it'll say it was the clinic that sent it. If you're a practitioner logging in, logged in, it'll show the practitioner's name. If you decide you don't want to submit this, you can just click off to the side or hit the escape button and that will go away. If you do click submit, what that will do is populate a small box down here in the corner to say that it has been sent. That is a temporary thing, so you may miss it if you're not looking for it. Other options, as I mentioned, you can download CSV files. If you click on the billing sign, you can see what the projected billing would be for the case as it's currently configured in our system. So this is not a final invoice that's processed through a separate system, just to give you an idea of what things might be costing for your cases. So when you're done with interacting with the case on a certain level, so you've seen what you want to for this case, you have options. You can click either on the left or right. So this would be the next or the preceding case in your case list summary. This would be the next case in your case list summary. So you can move by that method, and it will show you the next one in the line. Or you can click on the case list button in the center, and that will return you to your standard case list. So what I've showed you here is the login for the mystery clinic login. So if we want to log in as one of the practitioners for the case, we'll log in as Dr. Cotton. And so depending on how you have your practitioner view set up, you may or may not have access to everything that the clinic does. Others may or may not. One thing I want to point out is if you click on the advanced search tab, you have an option that says show only my cases. So if you have been directly affiliated with a case, those would be just the cases that fall under Dr. Rose Cotton in this case. If you unselect this, it will show you all of the cases for your parent organization. So in this case, we're Mystery Lake Veterinary Clinic. You can also see some of the cases that are affiliated to the clinic. In this case, Twist Animal Center has affiliated a case with Mystery Lake, and that will allow you to streamline what you want to see or not see as you log in or log out. I'm now going to show you an emulation of what some of the differences would look like on a mobile device. So this is an iPhone. If you have an Android, it might be slightly different. We're going to log in here. So one of the big differences is you will not see a case list arranged in rows and columns. You will see a continuously scrolling set of tiles for your cases. So you don't have the option to sort in a mobile version. The way that you will be able to see whether or not you have a new case or a change case is if you see the star next to the case number. And some of the features that had been showing up as you would hover over a case header row, those will be available either as clickable buttons, or in the upper right of the case tile, there are 3 dots. Those will allow you to show some of the other options that might be available to interact with the case. The way that you would access the summary is instead of clicking on the tile here or touching the tile won't do anything. You need to actually click the summary drop-down button. And so in this case, you see the summary results displayed there on that. If you want to close that, again, you just click the summary. The floating fields are similar in that if you go beyond the demographics of the header tile, it will show you the information that you set in your settings as the floating field. If you're in the middle here and you don't want to go back to the top of the case, you can just click the close all button, and it will close those summary displays so that you can go forward. Many of the things are similar, and so I won't go through everything. Some of the major differences are when you click on details, this is something that as you scroll through, some of it will fit your screen and others will require you to kind of pan around on the screen. So keep that in mind. If you click on the hamburger at the bottom, the 3 lines, it'll open the options again. I'm going to show you what the reports page will look like. So on mobile devices, our reports are PDFs. And so the mobile devices don't natively display those. If you want to access those, you will either, depending on your device, it may automatically start a download for you and prompt you for what you'd like to do with the download, or it will display a link to prompt your device to download the report as you go from there. Again, here, the default will be the detail report. It doesn't, for space reasons, doesn't show you all the options. If you want to see the options, you can click on the bar graph up in the corner, and it will give you the options that you would like to, which report you would like to display. Similarly, you can navigate back to your case list by just clicking on the button, and it'll go back to the beginning. And I want you to keep in mind, as we go through these features, some features may change depending on what permissions your login has that you're using. You may or may not have access to all of the features that might be available under a clinic or that I showed today. And I would advise you, if you have any questions about the website, you can contact the main office at 612-625-8787 by phone, or you can email us at vdl@umn.edu. We can help you get your questions answered.